this presentation on environmental impact of agricultural waste. In this session, we will examine how agricultural waste, if not properly managed, can lead to a broad spectrum of environmental impacts. We will discuss both airborne emissions and the contamination of water and soil, highlighting the interconnectedness between these systems. Agricultural waste encompasses a wide range of materials such as manure, crop residues, fertilizers, pesticides, and water runoff that, when mishandled, contribute significantly to climate change and ecological degradation. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to identify the major environmental pressures arising from agricultural activities and understand why sustainable waste management practices are essential for ensuring food security, public health, and environmental resilience. First, a general overview of the environmental impact of agricultural waste. Agricultural waste has substantial implications for the environment, beginning with the atmosphere. The decomposition of such waste releases greenhouse gases, including methane, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide. These emissions contribute significantly to the intensification of the greenhouse effect, thereby driving global warming and climate change. Air quality is also adversely affected. The release of ammonia from agricultural waste can degrade ambient air conditions. Furthermore, the emission of particulate matter such as PM10, along with the unpleasant odors, can negatively influence human health and the overall quality of life. The effects on water and soil systems are similarly profound. Nitrates originating from agricultural waste can leach into both soil and aquatic systems. This process may lead to eutrophication, whereby water bodies become excessively enriched with these nutrients, promoting uncontrolled algal growth and disrupting aquatic ecosystem. To compare the impact of different greenhouse gases, researchers and policymakers use a standardized measure known as carbon dioxide equivalent, or C2-EQ. This metric allows us to express the effect of methane, nitrous oxide, and other gases on climate change using a single unit. It is calculated by multiplying the mass of a given gas by its global warming potential relative to carbon dioxide. For instance, methane has a global warming potential approximately 28 times that CO2, which means that 1 kilogram of methane traps as much heat in the atmosphere as 28 kilograms of carbon dioxide over a 100-year period. Nitrous oxide is even more powerful, with a global warming potential close to 273 times that CO2. Using CO2 equivalent enables scientists to aggregate emission from multiple sources, prioritize interventions, and monitor progress toward climate goals under frameworks such as the Paris Agreement. This table that summarizes the main sources that generate greenhouse gases and their climate impact is very useful. In the next slide, we will examine it in detail. The carbon dioxide is the most abundant greenhouse gas and a major driver of climate change. In the agricultural context, the CO2 emissions rise both directly and indirectly. Direct emissions originate from the respiratory processes of farmed animals and the use of fossil fuels in farming operations, such as running tractors, irrigation pumps, and grain dryers. Indirect emissions occur along the broader supply chain, industrial production of fertilizer and pesticides, transportation of feed and livestock, and land use change, particularly deforestation. In many developing countries, forests are cleared or burned to create pastures or croplands for animals' feed, releasing large quantities of carbon stored in trees and soil. Additionally, intensive cultivation of nitrogen-hungry crops like corn leads to significant fossil fuel consumption for fertilizer production and field management. Together, these processes make agriculture a significant but complex contributor to global CO2 emissions. Understanding this pathway allows for targeted mitigation strategies, such as adopting renewable energy on farms, improving feed efficiency, and reducing land use change through better planning. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas with a global warming potential approximately 28 to 36 times greater than that of carbon dioxide. In agriculture, the major sources include manure management, enteric fermentation, and rice paddies. Anaerobic conditions in these systems promote methanogenesis, which lead to significant methane emissions. Storage conditions, temperature, and management practices, all of them influence methane output. Covering manure storage facilities, the frequent removal and minimizing residual manure death can substantially reduce emissions. Rice cultivation, particularly under continuous flooding, also produce methane by stimulating methanogenic microbes. Mitigation strategies include intermittent irrigation, improved feed formulations, and anaerobic digestion to capture biogas from manure. These compounds are present in various forms in the environment, including nitrogen oxides, ammonia, ammonium, nitrate, and nitrate. Each form plays an essential role in soil fertility, crop nutrition, and the global nitrogen cycle, highlighting their central importance in sustainable agricultural practices. Nevertheless, the intensification of agricultural activities combined with inadequate management practices can lead to increased emissions and widespread dissemination of these nitrogen compounds. Such occurrences not only threaten environmental balance, but also contribute to air and water pollution, underscoring the necessity for effective nitrogen management strategies to mitigate negative ecological impacts. Nitrous oxide is another powerful greenhouse gas with a global warming potential approximately 273 times greater than that of carbon dioxide. As we can see from the graph in the slide, the contribution of agricultural activity is significant. It is estimated that in 2021 we have produced 2.31 billion of tons of nitrogen dioxide. Its main sources in agriculture include manure management, excessive fertilizer application, and the burning of crop residues. The nitrogen oxide is produced through nitrification and denitrification processes, particularly under alternating aerobic and anaerobic conditions. It contributes to both climate change and ozone layer depletion. In 2021, agricultural activities produced more than 2 billion tons of nitrogen oxide, highlighting the scale of this challenge. Effective mitigation involves precision agriculture, controlled fertilizer release, and better manure handling techniques. Agriculture is responsible for approximately 93% of ammonia emissions in Europe. These emissions arise from livestock operation, manure storage, and fertilizer application. Factors such as housing systems, manure form, ambient temperature, and application methods strongly influence the rate of ammonia volatilization. Most losses occur during the initial stages of manure management, and surface application to stubble is a critical phase where significant emissions occur. Ammonia deposition contributes to acidification, eutrophication, and transboundary air pollution, affecting soil, water, and ecosystem far from the original source. Mitigation can be achieved through covered storage, injection of slurry into soils, and dietary manipulation of livestock to reduce nitrogen excretion. In particular, the housing systems, manure storage and application methods, the physical form of the manure, liquid or solid, the condition of the agricultural surface and ambient temperature can influence the ammonia emission. Most ammonia losses occur during the initial stages of manure management, as we can see in this figure. This is partly due to the high initial concentration of total ammonical nitrogen at the manure and soil interface, and partly due to an increase in surface pH immediately after slurry application. Ammonia is primarily formed through the hydrolysis of urea, a reaction catalyzed by the enzyme urease, which is produced by microorganisms present in feces. In poultry, the equivalent compound is the uric acid. Therefore, the animal diet also influences ammonia emission as it affects the efficiency of nitrogen utilization and the composition of excreted nitrogen, whether in phases less volatile or urine more volatile. Nitrate and nitrate are major contributors to soil and water pollution. They are less volatile than ammonia, but highly mobile in water systems. This figure illustrates a simplified nitrogen cycle, highlighting the significant pathway covering atmospheric deposition, nitrogen fixation, organic, plant and animal, and anthropogenic fertilization as various nitrogen inputs to the soil, ammonification, nitrification, and nitrification as the phases of the transformation. Manure management and timing of fertilizer application are critical for reducing these risks. Protecting groundwater requires buffer zones, cover crops, and careful nutrient budgeting to match crop needs with fertilizer application. Nitrate and nitrate, NO2 and NO3 respectively, are the measures responsible for the water and soil pollution and contamination, and compared to NH2 and NH3 are less volatile. The major pathway of nitrogen loss from agricultural system is for nitrate leaching. It happened mainly because of the abundance of fertilizers. When fertilizers exceed crop demand or are poorly timed with plant uptake, nitrates readily move through the soil profile and enter groundwater or surface water systems. This phenomenon is particularly severe in areas with sandy soil or high rainfall, where the soil's ability to retain nitrogen is limited. Elevated nitrate levels in drinking water pose a public health risk, especially for infants with blue baby syndrome, which is due to the reaction of hemoglobin with nitrates, in turn derived from ingested nitrates, to forming methemoglobin, a form of hemoglobin unable to carry oxygen. Moreover, in surface waters, nitrogen runoff contributes to eutrophication, where nutrient enrichment promotes excessive algal growth. The subsequent decay of algae depletes oxygen in the water, causing hypoxic zones or dead zones. The soil also could be involved in this process. Indeed, during nitrification, ammonium is oxidized to nitrate, releasing hydrogen ions into the soil. This lowers soil pH, reduces the availability of essential nutrients such as phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, and can impair microbial communities crucial for soil fertility. In addition, long-term nitrogen deposition alters soil carbon-nitrogen ratios and disrupts biogeochemical cycles, contributing to reduced soil biodiversity and functionality. Phosphorus, while an essential nutrient, can significantly impact water quality. Phosphorus loss occurs through runoff or erosion, especially when manure is applied without vegetative cover. In water bodies, phosphorus accelerates algal blooms, leading to oxygen depletion and to the collapse of the aquatic ecosystems. Unlike nitrogen, phosphorus is not directly harmful to human health, but is a key driver of eutrophication in freshwater systems. Strategies such as buffer strips, conservation tillage, and controlled manure application can minimize phosphorus runoff and maintain water quality. Agricultural waste also contains organic contaminants, including pesticides, veterinary medicines, and residues from animal carcasses. Once released into the environment, these substances alter microbial ecology and promote antibiotic-resistant bacteria and genes. Their persistence and mobility allow them to enter water bodies, bioaccumulate, and biomagnify through food chains. This presents a long-term risk to both environmental and human health. Improved waste treatment, monitoring programs, and regulation on veterinary pharmaceuticals can reduce the release of these contaminants. Heavy metals such as copper, zinc, nickel, lead, and magnesium are present in agricultural waste. While some are essential micronutrients, their accumulation can disrupt soil function and contaminate groundwater. In aquatic systems, heavy metals impair osmoregulation, respiration, and organic reproduction, posing long-term risks to ecosystem and human health. Repeated manure application and certain soil conditions can exacerbate these issues, making careful monitoring and management essential. Alternative feeding strategies and soil amendments can reduce bioavailability and uptake of heavy metals. Thank you for your attention. By understanding the diverse environmental impacts of agricultural waste, we can work towards more sustainable practices that protect the atmosphere, soil, and water resources. Effective waste management strategies in agriculture are crucial for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, preventing pollution, and safeguarding ecosystem and human health. Collaboration among farmers, scientists, and policymakers will be vital to implement innovative technologies and practices that may reduce environmental footprints and build resilience in food production systems.